Excellent. So I know that a lot of you have been sending in questions and comments. As you know, on Tuesday, I think it was, we went live on a special update where there was the big news about how the Social Security Administration had started working on and putting forward a plan that would make it a much quicker process for you to start receiving your benefits. Last Friday, we shared some information that we received from the Social Security Administration's press office. And that press office was talking about how they had already done 30,000 new applications for new retirees that would have normally been affected by WEP and GPO. We got to about Tuesday and we found out that they had processed another 30,000 of folks that had made applications. After we did our announcement on Tuesday, on Wednesday, the Social Security Administration hosted an update with many of the stakeholder groups. And it was during that time that they started answering some of the questions that a lot of us have had. And they've also passed on some words of wisdom that will be beneficial. And I think that it's helpful to start this conversation by talking about some of the information that we received on Wednesday. Probably the most significant update that we received on Wednesday is that they are moving quickly to get these benefits paid out. There are a whole bunch of folks that have been working on this. As has been reported before, if you are a beneficiary, a surviving beneficiary, or if you are making an application for Social Security benefits because of the loss of a spouse, or maybe you're divorced and you're trying to get the benefits that you'd be entitled to, they do not have a benefits application online for people that are claiming that spousal benefit. That is something that somebody has to call in and actually process. And there was, I wouldn't say urgency, but I would say there was a sense of working on that and getting it done as soon as you can. And so a lot of the folks that have emailed me over the last few days have actually talked about, and Roy, I'm not going to be able to have my audio or the screen on.
That page out and then go to that Social Security page.
Okay, so I'm going to clear that out. I'm on the Social Security page, but a lot of the emails that I have been getting are people saying, my spouse has passed away and I was told that I cannot receive the benefit. This probably doesn't affect me, but is there any chance that I might be able to get my benefit? And the answer is it absolutely does affect you. And I'm really pleased to know that many retired public workers, not just TRTA members, are tuning into these videos and learning that there were two of these provisions, the Windfall Elimination Provision and the Government Pension Offset. And I'm speaking specifically about the pension offset because that is the one where if you've not made an application, then it is imperative that you communicate with the Social Security Administration. Last week, I was saying call the 800 number with the Social Security Administration. I still think that is probably your best direction to go, is to contact that Social Security number, and Roy might be able to put it on the screen while we're talking. But after Friday's show of last week, I was receiving communication from some of our members who had reached out to local Social Security offices and had been able to process the updates that they needed to do. And so I can't say that's going to be the same, everywhere. We've got folks tuning in from all over the country watching this. But it is important that if you have never filed for your spousal benefit in the past, that you should do that now. The way that sometimes has played out is that a retired public worker who knows they have non-covered service and their spouse was in the private sector, spouse is now deceased or they're divorced, and the GPO prevented those folks from receiving a part of that spousal benefit. So a lot of times at the Social Security office, somebody who worked there would just tell that retired school employee or retired firefighter or cop, hey, you got non-covered service. You're not going to be eligible to receive your spousal benefit. Don't even apply because you're just going to get denied. And I have had dozens of people that have sent me emails saying, hey, you're describing me. I was told that I cannot get it. And many more people that are communicating back and saying, I still don't know that I understand what this solution is doing for me when they pass repeal of the GPO. It means that if you have non-covered service, even if you don't have enough quarters of your own Social Security, if your spouse that you've been married to for 10 years or longer was drawing a Social Security benefit, you are eligible now to receive that spousal benefit. And again, I always say this, I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a financial planner. But what I am is someone who's being involved with this for a long time as an advocate, your advocate. And I'm looking at the Social Security webpage, and we know that there's a spousal benefit that you may be eligible for. So my advice to you is to make application as soon as you can. And if you like to call or go to your local office, you can, or you can contact the 800 number that we have published a number of times, and we're going to publish it again. As I transition away from that, I want to talk about the people that should be contacting the offices right now. The Social Security Administration has asked that all of the stakeholder groups that are communicating with their members maybe pass on some message for folks. The first one that they passed on was, please let your members know, and the folks that you're encountering, if they've never made an application for the spousal benefit, please do it now. That's the message that we received. The second one is that if you have not updated your bank account information, that is something that you need to do. I do know that some people have been able to update their financial information through the Social Security app. I'm a little hesitant to talk about apps on this live event because I don't want you to go to the app store and download the wrong one, and all of a sudden you're giving out information to somebody that we don't know. So if you know what that is and you're already doing that and you've set that up already, you probably have some options to set to make sure that your bank account information is correct and is on file. If you've not done that, my best advice is to try to reach out to the Social Security Administration and connect with them and get that information updated. The third piece of information that the Social Security Administration would like us to share with some of our folks is that if you know your bank account is up to date, and you know that you are getting a little bit of Social Security because your personal work history allows you to get some, but not all, and you are affected by the provision known as the Windfall Elimination Provision, they are hoping to have all of the records taken care of by the end of March. The Social Security Administration says that they pay for the previous month in the month where they're paying. So in April, that April payment deposit from the Social Security Administration is for the month of March. And so what they have suggested is that if you know your account is set up, if you know your bank account information is on file, if you're just waiting for your deposit of the back pay that you're owed from January 1st, 2024 till February or March of 2025, however they decide they're going to do that. If you can hold off on making those phone calls because you know you're just in that holding pattern until it shows up in your bank account, then they're asking that not to just hang tight. Don't make that phone call. I know that's hard to do. And I'm not going to tell you, don't call if you don't want to, but they told us they are getting, as you would expect, many thousands of phone calls. There are some complicated records. You may have, complicated is maybe the wrong word. You have some more advanced records. You may have some retiree that has more than one spouse because they proceeded, in the death and they got remarried and they've got to calculate which benefit is going to go where. And so some of those things they're trying to work out, and that's taking time. But if you have your own work history and you're not getting your spousal benefit, then they're going to say, hey, can you just hold on? We're going to send out your checks. We're going to send out a letter that explains what the benefit was before it was reduced. At least this is the way I understood it. The terminology around this letter may change some, because some people have asked me, how will we know what the new amount is going to be based on? And so, especially on a WEP benefit, if you've been reduced by several $100s a month, my understanding is that the Social Security Administration is going to be sending out an explanation letter that is saying, this is what your Social Security benefit was going to be. This is what it is because of the WEP. And this is the new benefit that we are going to start paying you. There will probably be more than one letter that goes to people affected by WEP and GPO from the Social Security Administration. One of those letters is going to be talking about your benefits, and another one of those letters is going to be talking about the back pay that you'll be qualifying for. We were also told on that phone call on Wednesday that you may see the money showing up in your bank account before you get the written communication from the Social Security Administration. Some members are already starting to see some of that back pay happening, or they're seeing their benefits being changed. It's my belief that, based on what they were saying to us on Wednesday, that the February 24th was sort of their start date for when they were making the changes. And then they're going to be going through all of the month of March, trying to update all of the records for people to have the direct deposits for the back pay and starting the new pay. And so that communication and explanation is in the works. And it's always good to see the money show up. And if you see the money show up before you get the letter, just know that you'll be getting some kind of communication. The other item that has really sort of taken on a question of why are we doing this, or why are we being asked this, is that it sounds like there was an email that was sent out to people that may be affected by WEP or GPO. And in it is talking about that these changes are going on. And because I'm live and I don't have it exactly in front of me, the discussion is, please tell us about any benefit changes that you would have had to your benefits in 2022 or 2023. These are your public pension benefits for 2022 and 2023. And I'm trying to find the comment here. It says the Social Security. So this is from a member of ours, and it says the Social Security Administration asked in an email if there were any changes in pension from January 2022 to December of 2023. That is from a TRT member. I better not just share who it's from because I don't have permission to do that. But a lot of folks have received this. My friend Sean Duhamel, who's the director of Mass Retirees, he and I have talked about this. We spent a couple days talking about this. When we had our Wednesday meeting with the Social Security Administration, that this particular item was not brought up. We did not know this email was going. I did not know that at the time. I would have asked about it. But what we think is being discussed here is that, especially on the government pension offset, you have some folks that may be receiving in their state an annual COLA. Texas, we know in Texas, our teacher pensioners, education retirees, do not receive an annual cost of living adjustment. We get one from time to time, but not like, my dad's a pensioner in Illinois, and he gets a 3% COLA on his state retirement benefits every year. And in And what the Social Security Administration is saying, I think, is that the government pension offset is eliminated as of January 1st, 2024. So even though they passed this bill at the end of December, it has an effective date of 2024. And if you were receiving some spousal benefit that was not fully reduced by your government pension, then if you got a raise on your government pension, the Social Security Administration would look at reducing your spousal benefit by a little bit more because you got a raise on your pension. Then that formula it's pretty easy to understand when that amount, whatever that amount equals out to be, that would have been subtracted from your spousal benefit. Most people ended up getting nothing, but you had a few people that still received a portion of their spousal benefit. And if that public pension had an annual increase, the Social Security Administration wants you to report that so that they could make a reduction under the GPO on your spousal benefit. And so I believe that's what that email is referencing, is trying to make a determination if you had any changes to your public pension and if there's going to be some amount that they may have to reduce off of your rebate for the elimination of the GPO going back to January 1st, 2024. I have actually reached out to the Social Security Administration to seek additional clarification on this. And so that's the best that I have been able to come up with as far as why I think they're asking those questions and what they're doing. For Texas education retirees, the raise that we received was in, I think it was after the date that they're asking about. I think, and so that date was January 22 to December 23. We're gonna try to verify all of this with our teacher retirement system, as well as the Social Security Administration. I really want to applaud the Social Security Administration and the folks that we talked to on Wednesday. They found a way to change that 12 to 18 month repayment time down to 45 days. There are people that were on that call that have engaged with us over the years. I know them. They are hard workers. We seem to want to live in a world where we may not appreciate public workers as much as we need to. And I commend them for being as transparent and informative as they have been, especially on Wednesday when we had that stakeholders conversation with them. It really was amazing work that they were able to get accomplished. I also want to make sure that we're not overcomplicating a process that is also, relatively complicated to get done. And so I find out a little more about what this 2022 to 2023 change in amount was going to be. And we're going to continue to report on that. If any of you are hearing about that and want to send in more information to us, then we'll do that, or we're glad to take a look at it. But I'll be talking to TRS here in Texas. I'll speak to my colleagues as well. On Sunday, I'm leaving for Washington, and I'll be gone for several days. And we'll be doing Capitol Hill visits the entire time that I'm there, as long as meeting with other pension leaders and advocates from around the country. And we're going to try to get to the bottom of what that is particularly asking. And it's probably going to vary in every state, because every state is going to have a little bit different structure of how their public pension plans work. For some of y'all, it may already be baked in the cake, and you don't have anything to report. The same could be for us here in Texas. We've received some supplemental checks or stipends or different things that are not permanent increases as sort of a one-time additional payment. And so again, we're trying to get clarity. I think for the most part, people can continue to sit tight and wait to hear a little bit more about what's going on. But the people that need to act with the most urgency are the folks that are not yet filed for spousal benefit. And Roy, I'm going to take a break there and just kind of ask, what questions are coming in.
Yeah, we've had a variety of questions. I'm going to post this one from Susan Waters, which relates to the article you sent me last night.
Okay.
I believe that my situation will be one of the complex cases. Doge arrived at SSA, and news reports indicate possible 50% reduction of staff. Will this delay my benefits?
Yeah, we all know that there are efficiency measures that are being talked about by the federal government and what they're doing to those agencies. I am not expert on what is happening on those. I think I only know what everybody else knows and what we read in the newspaper. When I spoke to the Social Security administrators on Wednesday, there is a new acting director of the Social Security Administration. This gentleman who I've not had a chance to meet understood that there's some frustration that people may have on this particular situation, but they are working to increase the efficiency of the payments going out. A lot of this comes down to the automation process that the Social Security Administration has put in place. And that automation process is going to take a lot of the human processing element out of it. And that's why I think they're saying, hey, we're going to end up getting you your money before we can even process the letters that are going out. So they're moving at a good pace to help. Will there be, staff shortages in Social Security? I don't know that I'm expert enough to answer that question. But based on what we heard from there were at least 10 people on there from the Social Security Administration that were dealing with processing the payments, making sure the software is working, making sure that the more complex scenarios were being managed by another team. It was really well done. And I felt when that was over that we were on a path for a lot of the speed bumps in the road being smoothed out. And I think we're still on that path. Roy, you got another one?
Yes, this one's from Vicky. And she says, do you know what days of the week they will send money?
No, I do not know. That's a great question. I don't know. I think that, again, because of the automation process, I asked a question during the stakeholders discussion about, is there some emphasis on getting people who may be more senior in their years the money, as quickly as possible. None of us know how long we have here, but at the same time, we've got a lot of retirees in Texas. I think Roy was reporting the other day that there are now over 400 or maybe even 500 TRS retirees that are over age 100. They've been waiting a long time for the repeal of the WEP and GPO. And I'd really like to know that SSA has a plan that is expediting some of our payments to folks who have more senior years in retirement. And my understanding is that is part of their discussion. But as far as the day, I do not know. My belief is, based on what they were saying, that they're moving big tranches of reimbursements almost every day. And so it may be that every day a new group of folks from Texas to California to Massachusetts to Illinois to Missouri and everywhere in between are starting to see those dollars flowing in. And there may not be a specific day that it could be happening. Now, going forward, there probably is a day, and I just don't know what it is, that the Social Security Administration processes payroll. What I do know is that they are processing it for the month before, which we talked about. And so it is likely that many people will start seeing in April a new payment amount, either because their WEP or their GPO is now gone. And as far as the WEP goes, it is possible that the Social Security Administration will process an amount that may be more than what your own individual work history is. I, again, am not a Social Security counselor, but it is my understanding that you may qualify for a spousal benefit that is higher than your own Social Security benefit if your spouse and you are still together, and if you've been married for 10 or more years, and you meet a lot of the other conditions that may be there. If your Social Security amount is $400 a month or something, and your spouse is getting a Social Security benefit of $1,500 a month, and if the 50% of the spouse benefit is higher than your benefit, you may qualify for getting a bump in your Social Security benefits for you. Now, as we all know, when the spouse passes away, the spouse benefit becomes either 100% of yours or 100% of the spouse who passed away. And that survivor benefit, it's the greater of the two. It's not the one that you have plus what you may be getting from your spouse. It becomes the greater of the two benefits. So there's a lot of information here that would be good, that if you're new to some of this and you want to talk to the Social Security Administration, that might be the kind of thing that you talk to your local office about. But that's a great question about the day that somebody may get paid. But I think it's going to be every day people are going to be getting paid. And then when they get that resolved with the repayments, we're going to move on to a specific time frame that they happen. Roy, anything else?
Yes. This question is from Peggy. Will there be adjustments for WEP going back 10 plus years?
No, unfortunately not. So, Peggy, thank you for that question. There will not be adjustments going back 10 plus years. The WEP look back goes to, and GPO goes back to January 1st, 2024. So there will be a repayment for that amount. Now, this question can get tricky because I'm not talking to Peggy directly, and she's asked a question. I want to make sure I answer it every way that I can. So we know that the retroactive impact of HR 82 is that people will get a back payment from January 1st, 2024 until what I think is going to be the end of February or maybe even to March of 2025. I'm not sure how they're processing it. But many times people have said, well, hey, I should have been collecting benefits 10 years ago. And I'd like to know that a retroactive is going to take into account all of the years that I paid into Social Security. So the answer on that one is yes, you are going to be given credit for the Social Security benefit that you would have originally started with if WEP never existed. And so that amount is what we'll be seeing happen for you going forward. Those dollar amounts will also be indexed to inflation. And so as we start down this path and we get to, I think they do it in the months of October, November, December is when they start calculating what the increase may be to adjust for inflation. And they do the inflation adjustment in January for Social Security recipients. We've never experienced that for those affected by WEP and GPO. But now we will. And so going forward, you will be getting whatever increases may be occurring because WEP and GPO has been repealed. So that's also good news. Some folks have asked about, Roy, I'll come back to our question in a second. Some folks have asked about how they handle the Medicare costs in those payments. So a lot of our folks have been WEP'd, and they ended up paying the Social Security Administration for the Medicare premium. Typically, the Medicare premium is sort of taken out of the benefits and handled with the direct deposit stuff. And so if you have been a payor of your Medicare benefits and all of a sudden you're going to be flipping to a person that is getting a substantial Social Security benefit now based on what you've earned and not paying as much, you may want to contact the Social Security Administration and say, hey, I lost almost all my WEP or all my Social Security because I got WEP'd, and then I was paying my Medicare premium, and I actually had to pay the Social Security Administration for that. And so I need to make sure that my bank account information is set up so that I'm not paying you out the money, but I'm actually receiving the money. So that's another one that you might want to check on. All right, Roy, what do you got?
Yeah. we're receiving a lot of like very specific questions
Sure.
that would probably require an advisor. But this question from Judy asks, who is eligible for the 2023 retroactive payments?
Now that question talks about the 2023 retroactive payments, but it is January 1st, 2024. And so we know it's the 12 months between January 1st, 2024 and December 31st, 2024, in addition to what I think is going to be January and February. My understanding is that the Social Security Administration wants to start paying people their benefits in April. That's their goal. And since they pay April for the previous month, my guess is that it's going to be the 12 months of 2024 plus maybe 2 months of 2025. So maybe 14 months of what that benefit was going to be. So who's eligible for that? Well, on the WEP side, the WEP, it's going to be anyone who has had their Social Security application processed and that for the last several years, they have had a reduced amount of Social Security. So if you were receiving or eligible to receive benefits sometime as of January 1st, 2024 or before, you would have had a reduced benefit because of the WEP. And for all of 2024, that amount would have been reduced all the way up until when they calculate the new amount, presumably sometime in March of 2025. So if you are someone who just started receiving Social Security benefits in October of 2024, you will probably get some kind of retroactive payment that'll go for October when you first became eligible of 24 until the date certain in 2025. Now, again, we are trying to answer your questions on the best information that we have available as we're looking through that on the Social Security website. And if you want to know specifically, even though Social Security has said, hey, if you can wait, please do so. If you've got a specific question like that and you want to know how much that amount is going to be, again, you may have to wait for a couple of hours, but making that phone call might be able to answer that question for you. The other thing that I would say is that the part that I'm the most concerned about, that I have not heard exactly the answer that I would like to hear, and maybe if Sean or Ronnie or some other folks are watching this right now, they can text me or something. But if you are a retiree and your spousal benefit is the one that we're talking about, and you went to that Social Security Administration in 2019 and your spouse passed away, and you tried to collect your benefit, and somebody at that local office said, hey, I'm sorry to tell you this, but because you're a teacher and you've got this public pension, you're not going to get a spousal benefit, so don't even put an application in. A lot of the folks left that discussion never filing for those benefits. And so I strongly urge you, if you are in that category, I need my spousal benefit. I was told I was not going to be eligible for it, and I never applied. You are one of the people that needs to, with urgency, apply, because we want to make sure that your application is processed to be eligible for the most amount of rebate possible. And that is another question that I've gotten into SSA that I'm trying to get some more clarity on, because you could have been eligible all the way back in 2019 or 2021 or 2023 or whatever. But because you were told don't apply, if you don't have that application on file, as they start making the payments, they may try to reduce that amount or handle it a different way. And so we want to know that you are going to get the maximum payout possible. All right, Roy, you got anything else right now?
Nothing else right now, but a few people in chat, it seems like, qualify for that advice that you've given.
Yeah.
So that's really, really good. I think, a lot of great comments, a lot of interest in some specific situations. But, I was thinking earlier this week, about our conversation, and was thinking about how you had told us at the TRTA staff that this was not the end of the story with WEP and GPO. That
Yeah.
they're just because it's great news right now. People are going to be receiving their payments. We've repealed it. It's not the end of the fight in terms of there may be changes down the line, or groups or people are going to try and change what we've got going on.
Yeah, I think we're going to dedicate an entire show to that concept pretty soon, and I would like, I'm going to promote, I'd love to promote some of these groups that are out there. You've got Guardians for Social Security on the Facebook. Many people in our audience know Pam Alexandroff, and she's got another Facebook page going. Some of you are part of a retired teachers organization or the police and the firefighters, and you're watching this, and we all know that there's another shoe to fall. We're kind of in that really nice place right now, knowing that we've won. We're going to start getting our Social Security benefits, and then we're waiting for the money to show up. The other shoe that's going to fall is, how will the federal government start talking about this moving forward, and what are their intentions on how to fund Social Security moving forward? And I'm sure there's probably some folks in that group that I think they were called Social Security Fairness before on social media. And I've met with these folks that are still there and working on that social media page, the Guardians for Social Security. And I was really interested to know they did that name change to really convey this idea that we have to be protecting the benefits now that we've won back and that we want to be able to maintain. And a lot of us have probably thought the statement, if I only knew then what I know now, if I only knew in the 1980s what I know today about how this has affected millions of people's lives and has robbed people of their Social Security benefits, and the folks that I've known for years that were champions on this issue that are no longer here with us today. All of the work that was put into it. I think that in the 1980s, all of us would have done a lot more to try to prevent it from happening. Now, that's the reality that I think we're going to have to come to grips with, is how is this going to potentially change? How are we going to remain united as an organization? How are we going to get even stronger than what we are now? Repealing WEP and GPO took an immense amount of public pressure. I think for us to be able to protect this so that future public workers are not going to be negatively affected by a WEP and GPO 2.0, it's going to take twice the amount of effort because it's now known. And there were groups that were attacking they wanted to maintain the WEP and GPO. We saw them testify in congressional committees. We saw different congressional members talking about why these rules should have stayed in place and they should have just been fixed instead of just repealed. So all of that is coming down the road. And so we need to make sure that we're, keeping an eye on that. Roy, I think that's really important that you bring that up. As far as the personal questions and some of the things that are going on, we're going to kind of cull those on our Facebook page and make sure that we're answering to the best of our ability. And as I said, I will be in Washington. I may set a day next week that we will do a special live event. And I've not talked to my other colleagues that are going to be there with me. But if I feel as though we have new information to share with you at that time, then we'll do that. I really think that there's still a lot more that's going to be found out. But my hope is that we've turned a corner, and that those of you that have really been hit by the WEP, you're kind of in a holding pattern. Make sure that you got your benefit application done. Make sure you got all those things done. On the GPO side, there's a sense of urgency there to make sure that you've got your application on file. We still know that the language that has come out in that email is a little strange, and that we're trying to figure out exactly what that means and how people are going to respond to it. We are keeping an eye on the idea that there are letters that are going to be coming out to people on what their benefits amount need to be, and making sure that people are seeing the right deposits. And it is possible that we get to the end of March and you may be a person who's not seen that direct deposit. You've received your letter and it's still in process. And I think that we'll take those up as we move along. So, Roy, I think that's, pretty good for our Friday update. I'm looking here at the Social Security page. Please make sure that you click on the Social Security Fairness Act information page on the WEP and the GPO. A lot of information has been added here. I actually did send 2 invitations to somebody from the Social Security Administration to do a live episode with TRTA. And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get someone from Social Security Administration to come on and speak directly to our audience about these things that are going on and try to answer questions. Not had the yes on that exactly yet, but as soon as we find out, I hope to be able to do that. We'll see what happens next week. But y'all are doing great. You're communicating well. We sent tens of thousands of requests a couple of weeks ago to have Congress get this figured out. I think that put pressure on. I think Social Security Administration was already wanting to get it done, but I think the additional pressure might have helped some to try to get those, things processed. So all is well, and we're continuing to move forward. Roy, anything else?
That's it for me.
All right, y'all. Well, we're going to talk next week about things that are happening in the Texas legislative session. We're going to have a big update on that. Our Pensions Committee is meeting on Monday. Appropriations and Finance continues to meet. We're still seeing a lot of bills that are getting filed on benefit enhancements for retirees and those who didn't get anything last time. In Texas, we know that most of our retirees are still 30% behind inflation. We have our big day at the Capitol coming up on March 26th. If some people have sent me emails and they've sent me a text message saying, I'd love to do something for you. I'd love to do something for your staff at TRTA. Show up at our day at the Capitol. Let's have fun. Let's go over there and advocate for our members. That would be the best thing that any of y'all could ever do for me, is just come be a part of this special organization that is working to make things better for you. Y'all take care. Have a great Friday afternoon. Send us your questions. We're going to continue to answer them the best we can. We'll see you next week.